Mrs. McGowan. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while, a couple hours
Yes,
already.
but that's okay.
It's funny because it is part of what we're talking about today, addictions and that type of thing. Well, the big theme is deliverance. Jesus,
Right.
we're talking about the blessing of the kingdom of God and the blessings of connecting with Jesus. By the way, I'm noticing we're both wearing grays and aqua blues today, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, we must have got the
Yeah.
memo.
You got the memo. Yeah, you can't tell I'm wearing grays, but
Yeah.
I do have gray slacks,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and obviously I have a little bit of gray, just a small smidgen of gray in my goatee as well. So
Okay. Well, and I've
you don't
got
have to
gray in
talk.
my hair. Yeah.
Not a lot, very little. But tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your background, and then
Oh,
also leading into what you do vocationally after
yes.
that.
I was a teacher way long time ago, but I also became a missionary. Grew up around a lot of missionaries and felt the call to go actually to Scotland because I went on a short missions trip and the Lord kept nudging me and poking me and saying, remember, you said when you were 8 years old that you were going to teach, you would be willing to teach in a foreign countries. Well, and so God called me there. I really wanted to fit in with the culture. And I married a Scotsman who at the time I didn't know was an addict, was alcoholic. Um,
Okay.
so that kind of leads into some of the things we're going to talk about today because, you know, I had to come to a crisis point where I recognized I can't live with this violent man anymore. And I definitely did not want to have my children affected by his behavior. I had to escape and
Mm.
I came back to this country. And that's when I started my own healing journey because I had to deal with issues that I was blinded to.
Hmm.
And I had to recognize that, oh my what seemed to be perfect family when you go to church had a lot of dysfunction in it.
Hmm.
It was late 70s, early uh, 80s, because Jonathan was born in 85 and he
Mm.
was only 7.5 weeks old when I fled and came back to this country.
Yeah. So because
So,
of those experiences, you learned about addiction, on how it affects people who are married or
yes,
whose children's father is an addict. You learned about some
yeah,
of the subsidiary behavior of an addict,
yes,
of violence, you said.
yeah.
And then later on, you learned about some of the things in you that would enable you to get into a relationship like that. So, was there addiction in your family of origin, or?
Um, yes, my aunt, my biological father, sister, um, was an alcoholic.
It's
Yeah,
amazing how incredibly prevalent addiction is in our world.
yeah, yep.
It seems like it's worse and worse, but it's um, because of the different types of substances we're talking about here that you can be addicted to. And one of the interviews that we did connected to the this theme, somebody talked about how inexpensive heroin has become, and that
Oh,
people can now don't have to have money to be addicted to certain substances anymore. And if you're not an addict, then you have an addict in your family or your extended family, which is probably true for most people, I would think. And so
yeah.
even if you're not an addict, you're having to deal with uh, having an
Addictive
addict.
behaviors that affect
Yeah,
the whole
maybe
family system.
codependent behavior. Yeah, how people cope with that. And
Yeah.
and it seems like
And
a hopeless thing.
people develop these um, dysfunctional ways of communicating, of the conflict resolution, maybe, or avoiding conflict completely, denial of feelings, shutting down. It's kind of like they have to develop a false sense of self, kind of a mask. But inside, there's all this hurt and pain and shame and guilt that's there. And if you were
Mhm.
to, kind of delve into the family system, that's all there. And it's prevalent with whoever is the identified patient or the person that's having the addictive behaviors. Because again, I'm going to extend, it's not just to substance. You can have an addiction of shopping, or you could have an addiction of eating. You can have an addiction of pornography. You can have, all these kinds of things. And the sad thing is, with an addictive personality, you can switch. I mean, so
Mhm.
sometimes if you've had addicted substance use, and well, I've stopped drinking, but they might be doing something else that
Yeah.
is just as addictive. After, having escaped, I had to, make a living. Well, doing working in a dental office or a OBGYN office doesn't necessarily pay a lot. And I had, part of what I had to face too, not only taking responsibility for the ways in which I had been a chief enabler with my addicted husband,